Today we'll see a JavaScript comparison trick. So first let's remove this one. So we are saying that is null greater than or equals to 0. It is saying that true. That means that null is either greater than or equals to 0. Okay. So let's see if it is greater than or equals to, because among greater than or equals to any of these should be true because this was true. So if I just paste this one, is null greater than to 0, it is saying no, it is false. Okay, then it should be equals to, but again equals to is also saying false. Then how this can be true? If null is neither greater than to 0 nor equals to 0, how this greater than equals to is getting true even? So to figure out, let's continue with this video. Guys, so today we will see the 2.9 of it, which is the comparison. Okay, so let's go over this one. So when we are saying comparison in the college or in the school, we have learned about this less than, greater than, equals to, all this comparison, right? So we'll see how we write them in JavaScript, right? So the greater and less than is the same like greater than and less than operator, and then also the equals to we have. So for the equals to check if something is equals to something, so we do is we write like this double equals to symbol, you can see. So this is that equity test. And when you want to write the not equals to, so usually in the college or school we write it like this, not equals to, but in JavaScript it is written like this. So this is the not operator we call, and not unequals to, so this becomes not equals to. So and you have to remember that whenever you are doing some comparison, for example 3 is greater than 5, so we always the result we want to know is a boolean. So is it true or false, is 3 is greater than 5 or not? So that's how it works. So what it is saying that boolean is the results, all comparison operator return a boolean value. So whatever the type of comparison you do, whether it's double equals to, not equals to, greater than, less than, everything yields to a boolean value. True means it yes or correct, the truth, right? So when we are saying, let's say 2 is greater than 1, so it's true, right? So it will return true. True means that yes or correct or truth. So and similarly false means that no or wrong or not the truth, right? So in programming we express this as a boolean value, just true or false. So whenever you are doing some comparison, you will come with the true or false. Okay, so what happens if you try to compare some strings, for example z greater than a, so it becomes true. You might be thinking that okay, if you'll go in a dictionary order, z is of course greater than a, so maybe that's why it is yielding true, but that's not 100% correct. So we'll come to that one. So let's see another example. So glow is greater than clay. So similarly it looks like a dictionary, but under the hood it's not dictionary really. We'll come to that. If else GL were same, then the comparison sits between O and E. Then of course O is in the alphabetical order greater than E. So that's why you must be thinking this is true, but this is not 100% correct. So what it is saying that it's not a real dictionary but Unicode order. Alright. So the comparison algorithms given above roughly equivalent to the one used in dictionary or phone books, but it's not exactly the same. Why? We'll say an order. For see with an example, for instance, case matters. The capital letter A is not equal to the small letter a. So you might be thinking that okay, it can be possible that capital A has higher priority than small letter a, but that's not correct. Which one is greater? But in reality, the lowercase a is bigger or greater. So if I'll do this comparison, right? So if I'll just maybe comment this one, I'll write console log of if small a is greater than capital A. It's saying that true. Why? Because we'll come to it, is saying that we come to that later, but it is because of the JavaScript uses Unicode, not exactly the dictionary, right? So that for that reason small a is greater than capital A. Okay, so then comparison of different types. So till this point we're comparing strings with strings, numbers with numbers. We got to know that how those works. So now we'll see how the comparison works of the different types. So for example, so here you need to remember that when comparing values of different types, JavaScript converts the values to numbers. So every time you are trying to compare something, it will convert everything to number, right? So in this case, if we have a string 2 and a number 2, it will convert both the numbers. So 2 will be converted to number 2 and number 2 is greater than 1. Yes, then it is true, right? Similarly, if you're trying to convert, it will convert 01 string to a number, and this number 01 and this one will be true, right? So it's true. So, and there is a funny consequence we need to see over here. What is that one? Let's say we have this let a equals to 0, and we're trying to convert this to a boolean. So we have learned earlier as well, when you're trying to convert anything to, a boolean, right? So if it's a true value, that will be true. If it's a false value, that will be false. So 0 is a false value, so it will be false. But similarly, if you have a string, you are trying to convert that one, but this will give you true. Why? Because it is a string, and for empty strings it will yields to false. But if you have anything inside the string, it will be true, right? So in this case, we are saying that this conversion will be this will. So in this conversion, we are saying that this this will be false and this will be true. But what if we convert these two one hand by hand, but this becomes true? Isn't that strange? Then how this works? From JavaScript standpoint, this result is quite normal. An equality check converts the values with the numeric ones to 0. So because it was this JavaScript conversion that becomes it 0, while explicit Boolean conversion uses another set of rules. So we'll come to that one as well. Strict equality. So what happens is, when you want to strictly check, you want to say JavaScript that don't do the type conversions, right? So for example, in this case, if we'll try 0 double equals to false, we know that this false or this 0 will be also convert to false. So both of these are false values, so this will become true. Similarly, empty string with false, this will be true. But what if you want to do such you have a use case where you want to say that as these are two different types, right? So this should not be true. So in that case, you have to do it triple equals to. So that we say is strict equals to. That usually looks like this. If we do this triple equals to, then it becomes false because the types are different. It will not do the type conversion, right? Then, so we have to see another thing, which is comparison with null and undefined. So what if we're trying to strictly check between null and undefined? Because null is a value, so we're saying that it doesn't hold any value, right? But undefined is you have not never told it what to hold, right? That is a different thing. So if you're doing a strict check in between, so this will always be false. And you have to remember, keep this thing in mind in JavaScript. This null and undefined are two sweet couples. So in the next examples we'll see how this works, but keep this in mind that these are two sweet couple. So if you will just do a double equals to or comparison between null and undefined, they will always be true. For math and other comparisons, so if you will see this one, let me clear this one for better readability. Okay, so null or undefined are converted to numbers. Null becomes 0 and undefined becomes not a number. Okay, this is from the math standpoint, when you have greater than or less than equals to greater than equals to. But if you just have double equals to, they two are sweet couple and they will become true. Remember this one. In case of comparison, double equals to, this is like this. But if you have a comparison greater than equals to, less than equals to, this case in this case they will behave like this. So let's see an example. Are we saying is null greater than to 0? It is saying that false, right? Why? Because if you will do this one, then null becomes 0. So is 0 greater than 0? No, false. Then we're saying is null equals to 0, right? Is not equals to 0? No, because not null is not converting to 0, right? In case of equals to, so that is false. And this is the maybe I should go in this order. We're saying that is null greater than or equals to 0. It is saying that true. That means null can either be greater than or equals to 0. But if you are checking if it is greater than 0, it is saying false, no. And is it equals to 0? It is also saying no, that is also false. So how this is happening? Let's understand this one. This is a very crucial one. Mathematically, that's strange. The last result states that null is greater than or equals to 0. So in one of these comparison, it must be true, because we are saying that if null is greater than or equals to 0, it is saying that true. So it means that it could be either greater than or equals to. But we are saying that these two are false, right? The reason is that an equality check, in this check, right, And in comparison, when we have greater than or equals to, they work differently as I said. So these double equals to check or a check where we have a greater than or less than, so they works differently. Comparison converts null to a number treating it as zero. When you are comparing this one, right? Sorry, it is not this one. So this one. When your comparison converts null to a number treating it as zero. That's why 3 or this one. So it is converting, we have a comparison operator here, so it converting it to 0. And yes, it is saying that okay, as we have 0, 0 is greater than or equals to 0. Yeah, that is correct, because it is 0, it is equals to 0. That's why it is becoming true, right? That's why null greater than equals to 0 is true. And 1 in this case, null is, again, this is a comparison one, we have a greater than, null is converting to 0. So 0 is greater than 0, that is false, right? That is correct. It means that we proved this one and this one is correct. So we'll see the next part, how this is like false then. On the other hand, the equality check here for undefined and null is defined in such a way that without any type conversion they equal to each other and don't equal to anything else. So in case of this one where we have a double equals to, in that case null will not convert to 0. In double equals to check, only null will be equals to undefined. That's why we told them that these are the sweet couples. They don't convert in case of comparison. Null will only convert to 0 when there is this comparison. Okay, when we are just checking double equals to or the equity check or equality check, in that case it will just be like this. Okay, and incomparable undefined. So what is it is saying that the value of undefined should not be compared any other values. So even if you will check with undefined is greater than 0 or less than to 0 or double equals to 0, it is always false. Why does dislike 0 so much? Always false. So let's understand this one. Comparison 1 and 2 return false. These two returns false because undefined gets converted to not a number. This also we saw, right? And null will convert to 0 and undefined will be converted to NaN, not a number, when we are doing any comparison. If we could keep null here, it will be converted to 0 and it will compare. Now if we have undefined, it will convert to not a number and it is doing the comparison. That's why in this case we are saying that not a number is greater than to 0, no, false. Not a number is less than to 0, no, false. That's a whole different thing. Then the last one, the equality check or 3, the last one, returns false. Why it is false? Because undefined only equals to null. The sweet couple thing again. If you are doing double equals to, undefined can only be equals to null, nothing else. So that's why this is false. So usually that is the overall summary of this comparison. If you have any doubt, do comment. I will try to clear all your questions. Thank you.